What is being termed as the epicenter of human suffering. This is happening in Sudan. There is nobody who's speaking about it in European capitals or in university campuses or writing long op-eds in global newspapers. But we at Fault Lines are going to tell you where exactly this epicenter of human suffering is. Sudan is at breaking point, viewers. The nation has been battered by relentless war that has been going on for 2.5 years. It is one of its worst civilian conflicts in its history. In fact, the capital of suffering is now described by the UN as the epicenter of misery on earth. That's how terrible the situation is in Sudan. The fall of the al-Fashir after an 18-month RSF siege, by the way, has in fact turned the historic city into what humanitarians are actually calling and saying is a crime scene in real time. 40,000 people have been killed. Millions of people have been driven out of their homes. There are mass executions that are taking place. Mass rapes are taking place. Entire neighborhoods have been completely erased. There's no word on it. Nobody's talking about it. It's a deeply uncomfortable reality that you will not find masihas and saviors of humanity talking about by putting European capitals on siege. But we are going to look at where exactly the fault lines lie, who still holds the line, and whether civilian forces can indeed change the trajectory of a war that's absolutely spiraling out of borders. But first up, I'm going to put you through some statistics that are so deeply worrying, viewers, but it will also put this entire war into context for you. Let's put that out first and foremost for you. The numbers that essentially tell the misery for you. First, 40,000 people have been killed so far in the last 2 years alone. 40,000 people, viewers. 12 million is the number of people in Sudan who've been forced from their homes. These are civilian people who had no business to be caught in the middle of the crossfire. But look at the number that has now been displaced. 18-month siege that has taken on in al-Fashir, and it hasn't ended. It's not like there is a peace formula on the table and global leaders are meeting to discuss how to end the war in Sudan. No, nobody's bothered about it. Look at the number of hospitals, 450 dead in one hospital. That's the extent of human misery. 57,000 have been displaced in Al-Daba. That's the second place where we're talking about. And you know, these are numbers that they're not really capturing the extent of misery. They are, in all probability, they're underestimating, simply because nobody can actually understand the extent of what's happening, because these are all estimates by which they are going. Even those numbers are so worrying. Next up, 1,365 lawsuits have been filed by survivors. And the last and the most important part, what is happening there for people who've been able to survive the civilian conflict? They are dealing with a famine, a cholera, and the possibility of aid being completely blocked out. That's where things are right now. But viewers, do not let these numbers appear as just mere statistics. They are not just metrics. These are lives lost. These are people whose lives have been completely unraveled, promising futures completely trampled. But behind these statistics are families running through fields without water, children flinching at a stranger's shadow, and viewers, mothers carrying the bodies of their children on their back. That is what this entire story is. But let's tell you about the conflict per se, as to how long it has been going on and why Sudan is where it is, with this report that has all the details for you.
Sudan's war didn't erupt in a vacuum. It began in April 2023. This, when the country's two former allies, the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces turned their guns towards each other. What came next plunged a fragile nation into freefall. 2.5 years later, Sudan is a landscape of ashes. 12 million people displaced, entire towns emptied overnight, and al-Fashir, the beating heart of Darfur, now a city of silent ruins.
بعد أنا كنا ماشيين في الشارع تعليم من مدينة الفاشر وفي إحدى الشوارع لقينا بعض من ميليشيات الدعم السريع وقفونا في الشارع وفتشوا حاجاتنا وتحرشوا فينا وأخذوا ممتلكاتنا ما خلوا لنا حاجة وبعد برضو في نحب وضرب معاناة شديد يعني.
The RSF's takeover of al-Fashir followed a grimly familiar script the world has seen repeating on loop. Encirclement, starvation, shelling, and finally storming. What followed was nothing short of industrial-scale brutality. Mass execution sites visible from satellite images, sexual violence weaponized with intent, and over 450 people killed in a single maternity hospital, a place meant to bring new life into the world.
We need just that sustained pressure on all the actors to demonstrate that this has gone on too long and that the methods of war, the level of impunity around this conflict is utterly unacceptable.
And yet, diplomacy remains a tug of war. The US, Egypt, UAE, Saudi Arabia have pushed for a 90-day truce, but the guns are still doing the talking on the ground. The battle for Sudan has become a struggle between force and legitimacy, between fear and hope, a struggle between collapse and the courage to begin again. And in cities like al-Fashir, where the sand itself holds the memory of massacres, Sudan's future is being written, heartbreak after heartbreak. Bureau Report, NDTV World.